one of the first questions I asked him is when you graduated high school, because that gives me that lets me know the
question.
That lets me know the wheelhouse. The second question is who am I not allowed to give the mic to?
Nice. But yeah, you want to have that answer figured out.
Yeah.
So.
My racist Uncle Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the Passion DJ Podcast. I'm your host, Mo Dingo, and with me is David, as always.
Heyo.
And back once again, friend of the show, the one, the only, B-Funk. Also known as, Grandpa? What's
what's that?
On Twitch?
Oh, Papa B-Funk.
Papa B-Funk. Okay.
I think I don't even know. Was I a father last time? My daughter's 4.5, so it might have been.
No, I knew your other Twitch was different than your other outlets. But while we're at it, give everybody your socials.
Sure, yeah. So you can, I like a lot of people, I jumped on Linktree, so you can go to Linktree /DJ B-Funk to find everything. But yeah, DJ B-Funk for Instagram and Twitter. Those are my probably two most popular, than B-Funk Official for Facebook and YouTube. But yeah, that link tree that has everything there, and probably the best place to start for me. So.
And are you still doing a regular live stream show? So
I think I stopped somewhere when things started opening up, probably last year. I stopped doing that. Okay. So I was doing the Nostalgia Machine every Sunday. It was like basically 1990s to 2010 electronic music. So it was like all old school stuff.
That's not old school, man. What are you talking
about? I mean, maybe, Channel X and all that stuff. But yeah, I was doing that pretty regularly, probably till I think whenever I started doing weddings. I think that's when it just started to slow down. And a lot of people ask me to do it. I probably at some point do something on Twitch, but I haven't been on Twitch in quite some time now that I'm gigging and just, working a lot more. So.
Yeah, so last time we had you on the show was the New Year's episode when I did the soft takeover, and you were telling us about all the stuff you were doing, the activism. You did the stuff in the park with the anti-racism, which I think is completely awesome. You were doing the stuff online where you were doing the Trust Me dance parties, and you were able to have a real Trust Me dance party here recently. How did that go?
Dude, it was awesome. Thanks for having.
Not that the online ones weren't real.
No, I got you. Yeah, no, this was the first in person I even posted in like 2 years. And so that's so for those people who don't know, Trust Me Dance Party is like my baby. I've been doing it for about 5 years, where there's no requests and I just do whatever I want. The idea is basically like I've been DJing forever. Just trust me. I'm gonna these days he's gonna be good. Like you might like this song, we like everything else, and so I started doing that online. It was really cool. But in person, like the energy, seeing like people come in, because when you're on Twitch, people roll in, but they're just texting you and stuff, or they're in the chat speaking, but it's not that same energy, And so seeing what worked and didn't work was interesting. When you're on Twitch, you can get away with like anything, because like no one can be like, hey, or people can't. You don't see people sit down at the bar, on Twitch. You know what I'm saying?
You don't see people get their cell phones.
Exactly.
out.
Yeah. So I wasn't as free as I was online, but it was still just great to know and to see response, because like Trust Me is definitely, I go all over the place, and it was cool to see that it still exists, because I was really worried, I was coming back in person and maybe things that we used to do aren't going to be what we used to do anymore, so that was definitely a great experience.
Like doing everybody doing shots off of ice luge or something like that. I don't think we're doing that anymore.
Yeah, I've yet to see that. Not at my parties. I can't afford that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
since you've been back on the scene compared to the before times, going through the transition with the pandemic, and now that you're out gigging again, weddings and doing your own private shows, what's different? What's the same?
Oh man, what's like?
How do you feel coming back?
It's good, So it is good to. Most of my work now is like weddings and like birthday parties and stuff like that, So mostly, I guess I would call it corporate, stuff like that. I've done some high school dances, which I know we're probably talking about here.
Kind of go down that path, like for those that are new to the show, like tell them what kind of DJ you are.
Yeah, so the best way I could probably say is I'm a mobile DJ that like dabble's not the right word, but like I love electronic music. Like I've opened for a lot of DJs and stuff like that, so I can go back and forth between those two worlds. You know, like if I'm going to do like I'll do open for Matt Zoe on a Thursday, and then I'll like DJ, you know, grandma's 80th birthday party on Saturday. You know, so like usually those two worlds don't play together, but that's me. You know, so but most of my work right now is weddings. So Saturday, you know, every Saturday through summer, I'm usually working somewhere doing something like that. Do some high school dances, and then every once in a while, just like a birthday party here and there. But basically the lion's share of my work is just I've transferred over to like weddings just because it pays more, and I generally have a really good time doing that. So,
but even before that, you were a club DJ. You were doing, you know, events. You know, and I guess opening up for DJs that people on the show have heard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, I don't know how far back we went. I was like thinking about it. I mean, I've been DJing since 97, you know, which is disgusting when I start thinking about it. I know, like, you know, there's DJs older than me who are on this show, and it's like, it's just weird to think about. And so like
that now you've been DJing for more than 2 decades.
Yeah, you know, and like there's things that happen, and people are like, oh, so I used to do a party called Dave Rave, which a lot of people like learned about me from that way. It was electronic party. We did that from I think like 08 to like 12 or something like that, or 13, somewhere in there, but it was like a huge hit. It got me into a lot of like markets. I think that's how I met Tony. Actually I met Tony at Numbers Fest, because I got to DJ and stuff like that, and then I got to DJ the block party, and I've done that it would have been 10 years, but it was canceled the last 2 years, but I've been doing that, so I've opened for that plenty of times or whatever. So a lot of big parties. I mean, I've opened for Dahlia just closed, but Matt Zoe, you know, Marcus Schultz, Cosmic Gate, trying to think, Paul Oakenfold, or Matt Zoe twice. That's my crowd. I love that dude. I've opened for him twice, but you know, so I've done some cool stuff, you know, direct support for a lot of cool people, but you know, now that's in the pastime, you know, now more like, you know, doing weddings.
I wanted to bring that up because I don't want you to sell yourself short, because you've DJ'd on some large stages, you know, with some major acts, you know, so
yeah, I've opened for B.O.B. I've opened for, you know, like I've had, when I do the block party, it's like 10,000 people, you know, and it's crazy. And so I've done that. And, you know, I did, open for Zedd. I've opened for a few people, you know, so like, it took me a while to get to that point, you know, and there was like a window of about 3 or 4 years. I opened for people, probably, you know, younger people, I'm seeing Zedd in my name, but her name is Rezz, and so I opened for her when she came to Columbus. When she first came to Columbus at Park Street Saloon. So I'm going to just share the story, because I am going to flex a little bit, because I like the story.
Because my wife is a full-on lesbian.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Dude, she's a great. So this is before she like completely transformed in like this Martian that she is, you know. But like it was when, you know, when she first burst on the scene, and it was probably the scariest set I've ever prepared for, because it's like, think about this. How do you open for someone who has a style that is unlike anybody else? You know, what the hell do you play before Rezz that's not her stuff, you know? And so I was having this crisis. I was this huge crisis.
That's a really good question. And the only thing that comes to mind is like Gustaffelstein.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so which I did. I played, I can't remember the remix. It's in my mind. I can see it. But anyway, like, during the set, you know, so I played this like really like played some dubstep, some heavy bass, you know, I actually played some like progressive house, and like, you know, kept it all under 125 beats per minute. But I guess during her set, like the way Park Street Saloon was set up, it's where it's a part of Columbus that doesn't exist anymore. They got torn down for it to be apartments, right? But there's another club next to it, and I guess you can go through the back door if you know. So like, you know, my best friend's party was throwing the show, and so they were with her. And it's another DJ I know, his name's Chang Song. He's in Columbus. I guess that, you know, they were bringing her back and forth, and she like stopped and listened to like 3 songs out of my set, and like was like, you know, like he was trying to talk to her. She's like, hold on, and like I don't know, it was wasn't it? It was this 86 beat per minute bass song that I have. I'll pull it up while I'm talking. But like he told me that after, and I was like, are you shitting me? Like Rezz stopped to listen. So like I DM'd her on Twitter, and she's like, thanks so much, because I wasn't sure. There's like 3 or 4 songs it could have been, and so I was like, it's got to be one of these. And she's like, thanks so much. And that was just awesome, you know, like as a DJ, you know, you know, and like, you know, we're all here and we do a great job, but you never know, you know, our friends tell you, oh, that was great, you know, but you don't really know, you know. And so like to get some sort of, and like people you open for, they usually think, you know, hey, great job, you know, they're just being nice, but like
they just pulled up 5 minutes
exactly
before.
You know, and like, you know, and no offense to anybody, I'm not hating, but like to have that moment that like is not forced. She didn't have to do that, you know. I wasn't even in the room. There's nothing. So that was just really cool. And people actually, I ran into somebody at the Tin Liquor show in Columbus. And he was like, yeah, man, you opened for Rezz, right? And I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, you were there? He's like, yeah, dude, you played fucking Eric Prydz, because I played, oh, my God, what was that song? Man, my brain is, I can hear all the songs, but I can't think of the tracks right now. So it's just some, cause if I was like in my car, I'd be like, oh, it's this one. But since I'm on video, I'm just sound like an idiot. But like, you know, so people remember that because it was like so different. If anybody's listening and they're like, I want to hear this set, it's on my SoundCloud. Just look up Rezz, DJ B Funk. It's all there. It's
we'll
45
put it in
minutes.
The notes, yeah.
It's a fun one because it is. It's as scatterbrained as you can be in electronic music. So, but anyway, I just had to throw that story out.
No,
you know, I had a flex, man. I haven't been on video with you guys, so I was happy about that moment. So I don't get to talk about this. My wife doesn't care. My kids don't care about this. You know, like I got to tell people who know. So
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, for sure. So. You know, having all that experience, and then now, you know, a bulk of your work is transitioned to that corporate space. What skill sets that you gained in your earlier years now are useful to you in this completely different space of DJing that you're in now?
You know, definitely, pressure. You know, being on those stages, it's scary as hell to like, you know, be in front of people and like perform, you know, like at any moment, you know, and I still get nervous when I perform like sets that I care about and stuff like that. But, you know, and just working with so many different people, you know, playing those big shows, there's always like, you know, there's the manager of the artist. And so that, and figure out who's important, you know? So it's like the manager is the artist is most important, but you're not going to talk to the artist. You're going to talk to the manager. The manager's going to tell you some stuff, but the manager's not going to necessarily tell you what the artist wants. You know, you've probably been in that situation where like, I think of the situation the first time I opened for Matt Zoe. It wasn't his manager, but it was his road manager. So,
is this the one you told the bad gig story about?
He's like 126. I remember I started. And he is just bring it down, dude. I was so like, this is like the first time ever played at, you know, La Boom, which is a party that's been going on in Columbus forever. I'm like, I finally did it, you know. I'm like direct support. So I like 2 songs in, he's like under the desk like we're here, and he's like 126 deep house, bring it down. I'm like, all right. And I played like the most boring set after that. I was so deflated. Like I started, I was like, oh hell yeah, and it just went.
Yeah, we'll put a link to your clip in that bad gig. I think it was bad gig stories too. I think is where that
terrible,
story came
man. And but you know, and then I find out it's not his actual manager.
You know.
So you know, if I had known that, I would have been like, you know, Matt Zoe's not going to care about this. You know, Matt Zoe is the kind of guy who, for those who listen, like he's a dude he's always breaking rules and stuff like that. You know, he probably would have wanted me to, because I'm not going to play anything he can't do. But you know, so that has helped me with weddings where you'll have people like talk to me and they're like, oh, this is what needs to happen. I'm like, the only 2 people I need to talk to are the bride and groom, whoever's getting married. You know, like, you know, mother of the bride, important, you know, the parents are important, you know, grandparents important, but there's a level. And if you don't know that and even work with people, you know, they'll come on really hard to you and be like, hey, this is what I need. But if they're not signing the check, like, it sounds really crass. I don't want people to think, you know, but like, it's important to understand
if you're
that.
not on the cake and you're not on the check.
Yeah.
Get out of my way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, you know, understanding that, like, you know, there is a hierarchy, and if you have these 2 people at odds, you have to know who's more important. You know, you can't appease everybody. You know, and having worked with so many different people who usually don't really need anything are the ones that coming on like the most aggressive. You know, it's, oh, I need this right now. I'm like, who are you? Oh, you're the uncle of like the bride?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Like, oh, and you want me to do something that the bride and groom don't want me to do? Yeah, no, get out of here. Like, like an example, and I don't know if this is something happened to you, Mo, like with, like, there's less and less slow dances. Like, people are doing, like, I'll do some weddings that don't have any slow dances, you know, which is like,
I've had clients say they don't want any slow dances. Yeah. Except for like the first dance. And,
sure, yeah, the special dance. But, you know, once we're into regular dancing, people don't want to do it. Have you had this happen where an older person comes up and like complains to you that you're not playing slow songs?
Yes, I have. And it was like a family member, like an aunt or an uncle or something. And fortunately, it wasn't one of those weddings where they told me not to play any slow songs. So I was like, because I was just kind of paying attention to what was in front of me. Yeah. The floor was full, so I was like, I just kept going in that direction. Like, you know, Aunt Judy came and complained, so I was like, oh well, sure, okay, Aunt Judy, you were very polite.
Yeah.
What do you want to hear? You know.
See, yeah, for me, like I've had several times where I'm like, they didn't want to do any slow songs, or they want to do one. I just said, this is outrageous, and I'm like, talk to them, you know, like, but if I hadn't had that experience, I would have played a slow song. Then the bride and groom would have been like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so like that experience from in the past, just being with so many people is super important because like, I don't know, like if you're a new DJ, everyone who's listening out there, like people come on to you, you know, really aggressively want something. And if you're not used to that, you might just fold and then you look bad and then you're not going to get booked again. So now I'm like, hey, you know what? I know what you want. You know, the weddings you used to go to, Grandpa, you used to have soul songs. We're not doing soul songs anymore. This look at the dance floor. That's what I always say. Like when people come in, it's like, look at the dance floor. You know, like you want something different. I understand, but my job here is to like actually like make sure 60 to 7% of the people here have a great time. You know, and what you're asking for, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think my hierarchy of like appeasement is the bride first, then the groom, and then the parents. I have had some situations where the parents were kind of like catty and like trying to like take over and be more important than anybody else. But
Hierarchy of Appeasement is the name of my metal band. Too.
Okay.
Go on.
That's funny,
one of those
puppet regime.
Had one of those logos you can't see with the antlers they like string together or whatever. So.
But because that's where I'm going to get the referrals from is the bride and groom and the bridal party. And I've gotten a couple like Christmas gigs from Dad because he really liked what I did.
Oh yeah.
You know, and things like that. So that's kind of how I temper my reaction. Is like, who are you? You know, and if I haven't seen you at any of the meetings, then you're probably not important.
Yeah.
No offense, but
I should not important enough to override something that
override what those two people told me. Yeah.
All these people are important. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want
yes, you are.
Yeah, all unique snowflakes.
Exactly.
Bring it in. Uncle Mo's got one for you.
You're all important because, you know, they're going to talk and then, you know, that's how that person treated you. Then that might be a review.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And I look at it as every person in that room is a potential client.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I address everything. You know, I've been fortunate enough to never have an event where someone was overly aggressive. I've had people get a little pissy because I didn't play a song that I, you know, because it's that whole thing. Oh, can you play a song? Okay, yeah. Let me just like get through these couple of requests, even though I don't have any of those requests.
Yeah.
You know, and there's one time I do clearly remember I forgot to play a song just because things just got carried away, and the lady kind of snickered at, you know, as I walked away. As she was leaving, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. It's in the queue. I'm serious. It's right here. Like I can
sure
it
is DJ. Oh, yeah.
Whatever DJ. Yeah. But yeah, that's like, I think honestly the only time where I've legitimately intended to play a song and just forgot about it because everything was just going, you know, just going well. Yeah, just going well. Yeah. So
that's awesome. Yeah, no, it's people, man. That's our currency, you know, like it's music. And so, yeah.
So what about the pandemic has helped you now that we're in this new era of DJing?
What's helped me, you said?
Yeah.
Wait, what of the pandemic has helped
me? Of all the things that you had to learn, like
going gotcha.
Online.
Yeah, gotcha.
What did you take from it?
What did you take from all
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
You went to online, you had to become a...
I was like, shit, this helps you?
Yeah.
You want this to happen again?
Please sell us on how enjoyable the pandemic was for you.
My bad.
Gotcha. I know,
As an artist.
Yeah.
Because we all had to become amateur IT experts, social media managers, all these other skill sets that we otherwise wouldn't have to necessarily dive into.
I gotcha.
I think it was always kind of true to some extent, but it kind of like hyper, I put it in hyperdrive.
Yeah, that curve became real steep because we had to transition to a new medium.
Yeah, okay, totally got you on that. So I was like, man, the pandemic sucked. I don't want to do this. Gaining, but
we're big fans around here.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. What show am I on? You know, like anyway. So the understanding like, you know, cameras and like just understanding the how big your community is, you know. So a good friend of mine, DJ Bardicus, he's still on Twitch. Dude, he is like still every Monday doing slow down Mondays, Tuesdays doing jazz. He does like a 2 or 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. like show now, and like he's like, I've got people in other countries that are up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. So he's like still doing it. And I respect him. I don't think I have that energy to do that, but like, you know, seeing how that can work, you know, so it's like, I'm a gamer. So like I understand like online communities, but I never really saw it with music, you know? And so understanding like that's still there, and you have to like, that there are always people like if I'm into something, there's somebody who's into that somewhere else. Yeah. And I kind of believed that before the pandemic, but I never really saw it, you know, because like on Twitch, there's so many times that I was playing tracks that like I had never played before, you know, and you can probably watch like most of my streams, like I've never played this out, and someone's like, this is amazing, and I'm like, having that kind of connection was really cool. So having that, but also like, so I started making video reels for my shows, you know, because for the background and everything like that. And that's something
Predator's dancing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Predator. If anybody watch Predator 2, there's a deleted scene of all the Predators doing like
popping and locking.
They're in the ship.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. You can just Google it. It's on YouTube. But yeah, during the pandemic, I was just like, I need more content. I want more content. So one of the things I always liked about, you know, electronic DJs is like their video stuff that they have. You know, like if anybody's ever seen Skrillex, he has a brand and it makes sense. Like I saw him Jacob's Pavilion in Cleveland years ago. But anyway, like it was Area 51, but it was a prison. And so like he had all these Martians like wearing like jumpsuits and having tattoos, and they're like lifting and like, you know, they're behind the barbed wire and stuff. And it was just like, what the hell is going on? But like, I'll never forget that. And so, but I really like that because it kind of like told a story. And so I've been collecting videos and clips and stuff. So if anybody's watched my Twitch or been to, so I took that to actually Trust Me Dance Party. I have that video reel. It's like a 3-hour thing. I've got, you know, anybody plays Overwatch, I've got my plays of the game show up, and just like, and for me, I realized that like doing that, like I said, if I like it, someone else will, you know, and people have compliments. Oh, I really liked it. You put that, you know, the Predator video or something like that, you know, or like I'll have a clip of like Jason rising from the grave and Friday the 13th. People are like, oh, that's great. I remember, you know, and so like using that.
All those things that you have in the background, they didn't really like connect.
Oh, there's the only connection is random. Me. Yeah. It's me. There's no like, oh, it's, you know, there's a clip from Breakin', and then there's a clip of like, you know,
did you have like the Dream Team in there?
Oh yeah,
clip
dude.
Of them
there's a clip of Double Dribble when you do the dunk, you know, like the slow mo thing, and then it goes to like, you know, the hideout from Teenage Mutant. It's just things that I like that I'm like, I bet this will be visually interesting, or might trigger a response. Yeah, you know, and it has people like, oh, I really love that. Like I have a lot of Daft Punk videos. So anybody who's never seen the Around the World video, like it's a classic. You know, you've got the police officers dancing with the, you know, all that stuff. And so I had to like edit it a little bit for Twitch because like, you know, copyright was keeping. But now, since it's not really on Twitch, I can have anything on there. And so that skill has been great, man. Just like knowing that because, you know, it takes work. You know, like anytime you do that, you have to find the video, then you got to like, you know, find the best part, then you got to put it in your iMovie, make sure you don't have 40 gigs of space, and then it just, you know, can't export it. That was another thing I've been going through where I'm like,
every time.
Yeah, dude, it's yeah, I'm sure doing this, I'm sure you guys just like,
when we started getting into multicam, it was like, oh my god,
I can only
that's why
imagine.
We're still not 4K. We're just not ready for all that.
I mean that's been my thing. It's like, you know, and I'm only doing like a 10 gig thing, but I'm like, it said, then, you know, then it doubles it, then it's like anyway. So learning that, and then I'm trying to think, you know, definitely just being grateful, you know, I think for stuff, you know, like it was crazy not doing what I've been doing for like 20 years, you know, like DJing and going to a party and having these things.
And we had that discussion on the New Year's episode where we both like kind of had that conversation, like, do I want to do this anymore?
Yeah. I mean, I was seriously considering like, that was it, you know, it was a good run. I know who could fault me, you know, like I opened
any of us,
you know, I'd done all these parties, and like now it's time, like, you know, but I'm glad I didn't, man, because I've been to some shows, and I've been like, I feel more motivated than I have in like a long time, which is weird because it's not like I just started DJing, but like it's just like, you know, being on the show,
you know,
you know, it's just like, you know, there's a lot of good music. There's a lot of good music coming out, you know, like, which has been really cool. You know, people are saying, oh, I've been waiting to release this. I don't know if they know that's true or not, but I think the way we're engaging with music just feels different, you know, because I'm actually like, I'm here, you know, like, whereas before, like, we'd probably be online or something like that, you know, and so you're able to go to things, and so like you can hear music in more public spaces, which I think makes us enjoy it more. I mean, it's cool to listen to it in your car, but like when you go to a show, you might hear a song and like it's way different that way. And so I'm appreciating a lot, and you know, trying new things too, which is something I'm trying to do. I'm going to probably get some new gear soon, which is nice. You know, if I can order
gear
something.
Refresh.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I'm sitting on. I still
and just make sure you use our preferred partner.
Yeah, no,
the DJ Hookup.
That's true.
Right.
No, I've been watching you guys reviews. Like I'm still yeah, and everyone out there, you know, see, that stuff goes a long way. You know, because before I was on this thing, I used to use DJ Tech Tools a lot for everything like that, you know, but like people don't realize like it's way better than ordering it from like, you know, Sweetwater or anything like that, which I also love, you know, don't get me wrong, but like what was I talking about? I just missed. I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about. I was just so excited.
Talking about getting back into gear and
buying new gear. Yeah, sorry, I got excited. Yeah, so I still have the Nexus 2s, and so you know, I bought those. If anybody out there, you don't need them, you know, unless you are doing shows. There's no reason to have CDJs if you're like a mobile DJ. Like it's just like they're heavy.
Yeah.
I love them. I love being prepared. Like I purchased them. So I've had I found Actually, I'll show you guys a picture of what I found here in my storage unit.
Also, while you're doing that, I'm going to address, because the YouTube audience has already noticed that Modingo has dropped about a foot in height since we started recording.
I was just going to leave it and see if anybody said anything in the comment section.
Fashion at DJ Studios may need some to invest in some new seating. Mine's doing it too, but
that's outstanding.
Yeah,
I found this box. CDJ
1000.
I remember, so I was in my old storage unit. Sorry, if I can see that.
Yeah, if you send it to us in the text,
I'll send this.
We'll drop it in.
Right now. I was I was in Portland, Maine, and they had just, you know, I had the dual CD, you know, tray things or whatever, you know. I think the new mark.
The new mark.
The new mark, yeah, the red. CDN 88s maybe or something like that, but anyway, you know,
and it had the pitch faders on the front.
Yep,
right?
pitch faders on the thing, you know, so you had like the rack,
it's like a rack mount.
Yeah, rack mount, and then you had set it up, and so I had like the cube was on top or whatever. But anyway, I wanted new gear, and so then this guy had the CDJ 1000s, and I was like, I just graduated college and had some money, and I was like, fuck it, and I bought them, and they were great. You know, remember back in the day, had Q buttons, had memory Q buttons, and a pitch fader, and I think that was it. And it was supposed to read the BPM sometimes on the CDs, so like that didn't happen. I had pieces of paper that had like the BPMs of all my songs on there, and like up 1.5% or whatever the calculator. So
CDJ that actually used CDs.
Yep. Yeah, the Nexus 2s, I guess, because I think I was talking to you about that. Like the 3000s don't have a CD player. I forgot about that, you know, and so. Somehow I'm sitting on the Nexus 2s, hopefully till we get to the 4000s or whatever, you know, because they're functional, they work.
Trying to skip a gen.
Yeah, you know, well, it's like, you know,
they're good kit though.
Yeah, no, dude, they are rock solid.
Nobody can get the 3000s anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, and because when I was doing shows, I would have DJs, and so I needed to have
instead of renting it.
Yeah, you know, I didn't want to rent, you know, and so I was like, cool, you know, but I've stopped throwing shows like that. And even after that, I just wanted to be on the gear that I was practicing on. You know, I wanted to practice on what I was going to play
muscle
on.
memory.
You know, you know, like, okay, this is there. But even that's like less of a thing. You can get controllers that pretty much do the same thing. You know, so I'm playing around. My back is also getting really bad. So like I still have a coffin.
Same.
Yeah, you know, exactly. I mean, like I have a coffin, and I want to switch to. I actually looked at some cases. From Odyssey, but like they were, you know, it's during the shortage, you couldn't get them, you know, but I want to get the 3 cases, but I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Like I love the coffin, like you show up, XLRs, power, done. It's all the hubs already, you know, HID mode's already hooked up, whereas like having it in 3 like this, you know, like I don't know if I quite want to do that, because I feel like there's too many places for something to go wrong. You know, I haven't been in a show in a while where HID mode didn't work, but I could imagine that would just throw everything off, you know, and it would probably be like 20 minutes before the show starts, and just, what am I gonna do? Find another hub?
I guess I'm mixing with my keyboard and
exactly,
mouse
and
the sync button, and hoping nobody notices.
You. Yeah, I mean, like I was thinking of like old school Serato, where it's like, you know, remember the CD would like go down to 15 minutes, you have to start it over again, all that stuff. I forgot all about that. Like I'm good on that. You remember that? Like you had the CDs in there.
CD time code.
Yeah, and it would run down, and once it did that, everything would stop working until you started the track over. You know, so
you know what's interesting is I think was the DJM S7, or maybe it was the the Rain 70. One of them came with Serato timecode CD.
Oh, really?
Like today.
Oh, wow.
I opened the box and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like who's even going to use this?
Yeah.
Is this like 2009? What are we?
Yeah. Okay, folks, we'll return to our podcast episode with B-Funk shortly, but I just wanted to take a moment to tell everyone to head on over to our YouTube channel to check our latest videos, such as my long overdue review of the Pioneer DJM S7, a soon-to-come review of the Denon LC6000, and another yet unannounced hardware review that we can't even talk about yet. So head on over to youtube.com/passionatedj, hit that subscribe button, and that little notification bell to make sure that you don't miss it.
And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe to the Passionate DJ podcast channel on YouTube, which is where the video version of this episode will be published. We also have a performances channel, which is where we publish live mixes and demonstrations from our guests who have been on the show. You can find all of that right there on the main channel. All right, back to the show.
So, going now that we're back we're out and about, another thing that I know is part of your line of work is high school dances. And we're getting about that season where proms are coming up. Personally, I've only ever done one high school event, and it was homecoming, and I have not done one since. Because they are brutal. Like high school kids will turn on you in a heartbeat, you know, and they will set your car on fire, like if you do not appease them and give them what they want. And so I know we kind of had this, we've been having this conversation on off for a few weeks about high school and just that community. But so how goes the high schooling?
Yeah. Okay. So and I know.
I guess let's take it back a step. So you've been doing high school dances for a minute.
Yeah, I've
for
been
as long as I've known you.
It's probably started 2007, 2008, somewhere in that range. Yeah, probably just pretty consistently, like weddings, like proms, homecoming dances, winter dances, whatever. Yeah.
So okay, so 2007 to 2012, we're talking like Justin Timberlake, Rihanna, Timberland. Those Daft Punk obviously is still relevant. We're starting to see Dead Mouse and all that stuff.
Black Eyed Peas, David Guetta, all that stuff. Yeah.
So all that's starting to be kind of relevant. So now we're talking more, the mumble rap, pop's coming a little bit more prevalent. Sure. The old school, that decade is now the old school, the 2010 era. But something that I think we both agree on, there's like something a little bit different about this generation of high schoolers when it comes to music. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this current group versus that group 10 years ago?
I'm just gonna speak on this because I thought about I've done 4.
Is this the existential crisis?
Yeah, this is existential crisis. So Samoa and I have talked about this, and I've talked to several other mobile DJs, and I know there's people out there listening and watching this who are mobile DJs like, what is he talking about, man? I've been crushing it forever, and I'm happy for you. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm just keep doing it. Like these dances continue, so I know that people are doing them well. Yeah. So I know.
However, we can speak strongly for the tri-state area.
Yeah, that's right. So for me, after going back in person, I've had just a terrible experience doing high school dances. I've done, and I don't want to talk many schools because someone will probably watch and I can't believe. But I've done proms. I've done.
It's not the schools.
Yeah,
it's the kids.
Yeah, there's something, and it might be me, I think, but I've struggled to So I mean, I've done parties, hundreds and probably thousands at this point of parties. And I just cannot get my footing. I'm in another DJ chat with a couple DJs in my area, and I've been like, guys, are you seeing this? What's going on? And the funny thing is, I had told myself I'm not going to do more high school dances when I took my first one last year because it was last year. It was last spring. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I don't.
The last time I quit, I meant it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you got to have clean music, which I have a lot of. But there's areas where I don't always have clean music. A lot of times I'm not buying duplicates of a lot of the hip hop and stuff, and then I'm I just have, because I hate DJing hip hop clean. So I'll always, if I have to like air one way or another, I'll always get the dirty version, because it's like, people, I feel like that's more impactful, and like that'll go longer. And so like I have a lot of like the music I should be playing, but it's dirty, and so then like, so I can't play that, then it's high school kids. And so like getting them to dance can be tricky because they shouldn't be drinking. Most of them aren't, and they're awkward and stuff like that. Yeah, that was the
thing you said, that they're sober.
Yeah, they're most of them are completely sober. Some of them aren't, but for the most part, they're not inebriated
as a whole.
Yeah. And so it's a trick, but like it's not been a problem for me in the past. I've gotten there.
You've rocked some high school dances.
I've that's why they called me back. I started the booty mixer at Athens High School. Like it went on for
the booty mixer,
dude. Yeah, sorry.
You can't just gloss over.
Oh yeah, sorry. In 1998, so I when I first started DJing, I did the 80s dance. I did that, and it was cool. Then they're like
at a high school.
At the high school, yeah.
Interesting.
So, we used to do the 80s dance, and then my senior year, like we used to, there's prom, homecoming, and then like an off dance,
like Valentine's
or Snowball. And so I was like, guys, let me do this. Let's do the booty mixer. And it was like jock jams. Like I was really into Miami bass at the time, and so it was like
who was it?
Yeah, and so it was like Quad City DJs, 69 Boys, Goon Squad, and so like that's all it was. It was like hip hop, Miami bass, and like jock jams, and it was like the best party. And so I did it 1 year, thought it ended. Apparently another DJ in town, my friend DJ A-Rock, did this party for like 8 or 9 years. I didn't even know what was going on. Like we were just talking one day. He's like, I'm going to Athens to do the booty mixer. I'm like, what?
Excuse me?
What'd you say? Yeah. He's like, yeah. It's like, dude, I started that. Like, why am I not doing this party?
Why
so,
am
like,
I not getting any juice off
exactly,
of this?
But like it went on for 10 or 12. It was like actually one of the longest things that I've ever done, which I guess I started it, but like it was like it really actually awesome to hear that it was going on. But then like the principal found out what it really was, because I guess they made shirts and there was like some girl like it's like
bent over
like twerking or something, and they like shut it down. So that party went away. But like I've made posts on Facebook where people are like I started the booty mixer. Like, oh my god, I used to love that in like 2004. I'm like, because I graduated high school in '98, and so like that went on for a long time,
for a decade.
Yeah, so anyway, like I understand high school dances. Did that. And so last year I was talking to some friends, and I was like, or some DJ friends, I was like, man, I'm done. It's not worth it. Because the pay is, there's always, so for my market, the pay is really low, so
for
like,
high school dances.
Yeah, for high school dances. I'm in Southeast Ohio, like, they don't really have the money to do that, whereas like I know
Columbus,
a lot of people are making, $1,500, $2,000 and stuff like that. Hell, I would do that if I could, but that's not who we are, and so it's less pay. It's more work.
It's stressful.
It's stressful.
So
yeah.
Can you help me understand like what is it about the kids and the experience now that is frustrating? Because it's interesting to me, because I had a very similar conversation with somebody yesterday who they're not in music at all. They're actually I don't want to give them away.
Yeah, sure.
But they work in a school system doing some like custodial work and stuff like that. And he's said like that the kids are a nightmare now, and I just wonder what are you having respect problems? Are tearing stuff up?
It's definitely just like response to the music. Like
really?
Yeah, it's
so it's not that they're like they're driving you crazy.
They're not. Nobody's coming up and like getting in my face or anything like that. It's just a lot of standing around, which like to a DJ is just like a stab in the heart. We're like we're working our asses off. To any gig we do, we're working our asses off to make it happen. And that's a reflection on how we do. And when it doesn't work, like
that's like your grade.
Yeah, exactly. It's painful. And so like and imagine 3 hours of that. Where you start, and then that first hour, you're like, okay, I'm figuring out, I'm getting my feet wet, figuring out what's going on. And, it'll never be like this the whole time. But like, it just stayed like that. There was never points where it felt like, okay, I'm in my groove. I got a good 45 minutes, 50 minutes of like solid music. And, I will say a lot of this, I think, is me not having, so I know something we're talking about is library organization, not being clued in on my 2010 to now music, so that was something like
we
that.
Had that talk
so
about,
I was digging towards more of the music that I would always play, which is really old for a lot of those people, and so like it felt, I think, more stale, but also like I was playing a lot. So I had a good mix of like some of the newer stuff last 3-4 years, But like I'm trying to think of classics like, you know, Calvin Harris, stuff like that, 2008 to 2014, like, so, you know, that's because they would be like in elementary school when those songs would come out, so they would definitely know them. But even when I'm playing stuff that they request, you know, so they'll tell me, hey, we want to hear, like, the kids really love Pitbull, which I love because I think Pitbull's a great time, and so they want that like
everybody
high energy.
loves Pitbull.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like at 128, like, you know, David Guetta, Pitbull kind of beat, you know, exactly, you know, Flow Rider, like that era is a great spot to be. And I'm playing that, and they start, and then they just stop. Like, it's literally like it's like how TikTok is, and you're like, and I don't want to blame it on this TikTok.
Go ahead, blame it on TikTok.
Well, I feel like that's a cop out for like older people because it's a TikTok generation. I mean, people want different things, but like there are high school dances that are working. You know, like I said, like people are getting hired. You know, people who are listening probably in the comments will be like, yeah, dude, I've crushed it. Here's videos of me at this thing. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand what it is, and it's been really frustrating for me because like you know,
you can't crack the
you go
code.
in there, you know, and I was like, well, maybe it's at school because I've also had there's issues. Some schools are less dancey than others, you know, and but I've been to like a couple different school districts, and they've all been like very similar. And so like somebody was sharing this with me, you know, how we've lost 2 years of like time, you know, so our seniors entered, or basically sophomores as far as dancing goes.
They went from 8th grade to
exactly.
senior class.
You know, and so you learn your you know, this is my theory at least, but you learn your social norms from these kids. You know, so like these kids that never really danced, you know, you're not dancing in a sophomore year. Like now you're the senior, and so like there are going to be people who will always dance. You know, we all in any group of people, but for the most part, they don't dance because they haven't been doing it. You know, they haven't had 3-4 years of getting comfortable with it. Yeah, you know, and so like they'll hear their song, and then like they're cool just talking with their friends. And like for me, that's not an experience I want to have anymore. The money, I mean, if they're paying a bunch of money, I might change my mind, but they're not. You know, so there's that. But like, it's just. Like I said,
fulfilling.
Yeah, it's not fulfilling. It's actually not even fulfilling. Like, because it would be fine if it was neutral, but it's actually like making me think I didn't want to be a DJ. Like, I think maybe I text you this, or I know I talked. Like, I was like, I think I'm done. Like, I was thinking about I've got 2 kids now. You know, I've got a day job.
And I was like, whoa, hey, you need to call me right now.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, yeah, like I was like, there's not the love wasn't there. You know, because I really enjoy. There's nothing more satisfying than going in a space and winning over a crowd, you know, any style of music.
And no matter what any DJ says, whatever type of equipment, whether you're someone who's just smashing faders or someone who's like going into like a full transition of 3 to 5 minutes, playing 3 tracks at the same time, every last one of us enjoys and gets off on seeing that reaction from the crowd.
Yep.
And that really hit me again when I was started to DJ again, when I was deployed. And that first time I DJ'd, and like everybody was dancing, they were pointing at me, and like I remember some girl, she had like her fairy dust on, and she was like sprinkling fairy goodness on me. I was like, God, I miss this so much. And it was like, I remember calling my wife, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I miss this. And yeah, if you don't DJ for that reason, you're not DJing for the right reason, because the money will get old after a certain point, because the money's great. I wouldn't a lot of these things I wouldn't do for free, but
there's an element to it, you know, because I mean, we can't do it for free.
We can't do it for free.
We got bills to pay, but you know, like there is, I have this issue with like, if you wouldn't DJ if you don't just DJ at home, like by yourself, like at some point, you know, all the time, and we're busy, but like, I feel like that's kind of weird as a DJ, you know, like if you know, there might, you maybe at this point now, like you don't practice stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But like there hasn't been a point where you're just at home playing records just to like, because you fucking love the music. Yeah. You know, like what are you doing? You know, like, and because there's people like produce and stuff now, then they have to become DJs, whatever. That's fine. But like, you know, if you're not just down there, like loving listening to songs, like do something like,
or it's testing something out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's not going to last. And so like, and I always wonder about that, because like people are like, I want to do this party. I want to be that. I want to be the man, you know? And it's like, okay, like, you know, you're doing stuff, but like, are you really in love with what you're doing? And because the crowd doesn't know the difference, you know, they're just there to hear what they want to hear. But like when you're doing something, you're in love with it, like that will also translate and go further. But anyway, that's just my thing that I always harp about. I'm just like, you know, if you're not just willing to do it, you know, down in this corner over here, just like playing tracks, you know, like, it's not gonna last.
And that's fine.
So,
you know, but that's just for me. Like I do it for that high.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I can get that high with 10,000 people, and I can get it with one.
Yep.
You know, so it's just, but getting that fulfillment of seeing someone react to something you chose to do. Yeah, that's the part.
I fucking love that, EPMD
Yeah.
track. Oh hell, you're like, yeah, me too. It's like, what? Like that's what we look for or whatever. So
for sure. So as far as Crisis, like, where are you at now? Are you?
I mean, I think I'm done. I will also say I wasn't asked to do any proms this season, so because it was weird. Like I got responses from the schools like, oh, the kids loved you, and so like I've been in some spaces where I've been able to hear feedback and stuff like that. Like one school actually, which made me feel good, didn't have a DJ at all for their prom. They actually decided to do themselves. So they got like a Spotify playlist, and they had somebody, and I guess it went okay. I haven't really heard a whole lot. Keep in mind, high school dances are hard to like get a review from. If you think about like when you've done them, like people, you're like, hey, let me know what songs you guys want to hear. And then like even when we were in school, it's probably like these 10 kids who are popular picking all the songs and deciding this is what we want to hear, and them not being DJs. So they're like, they're putting Queen and all this other stuff you can't really dance to on there that they just listen to.
Or
it's
just
not
doesn't
helpful.
just mesh.
Yeah, it doesn't mesh, and so even hearing like, oh, the DJ sucked, like, oh, who's saying that? 3 people at the school, but they're really loud. So it's like even trying to like figure out if you did or did not do a good job is like really hard. And it's just, for me, I think I'm just done with it, like, because I also think about, that's a Saturday that I can be with my kids. So something that I haven't talked about is I'm doing less mobile gigs just because I've raised my prices. Because I'm like, you know what? Like in 19, that was the best year I ever had. I was somewhere every Saturday. I was bringing in major money. And then 2020 came and just smacked me in the face. And I was just like, what? But I realized I can't do this. I've got 2 kids now. Like they're going to be needing me to be there. So I was like, how do I work this out? So I started raising my prices because a friend of the show, Access, has been on here. He's like, dude, raise your prices. Just do it. It doesn't, like, I'm like, why not? You've been doing it for this year. Just $100, see what happens. I was like, oh, I don't know, man. We'll see. And best advice I've ever gotten. Like right now, especially with inflation, raise your prices.
Right.
Like right now, everything
Your
else
old rates don't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
So that is another thing. I just raise. So high school dances done. I can make more money doing weddings. They're more fun because the crowds are a little bit older. So they're into more stuff. And they're drunk usually. So like, I sound better, but like, high school dances, there needs to be another person to do that. And that's just not me. And like, my mental health is just worth more than that, honestly. Cause like seriously, like the fact that I think about the fact that I was going to like stop DJing is crazy to me. Like I was just like, I think I'm done. It's too hard. And, I'm like, why was I even thinking that? I've got this whole renewed now. I'm like, okay, because I've been.
I'm not looking at these little 17-year-olds.
Yeah,
me what to do.
and like, and they changed. They're not even a crowd that like, and it's not even they were nasty.
You don't even matter.
Yeah, but it was just, it was just. But that's I share that in case there's DJs out there because a lot of people have come out of the pandemic, renewed and strong. But I think other people are like trying to do what we used to do, and it's not working. And then you're like. It's like I've always done this for 15 years and it's always worked. Why wouldn't it work now?
Because, it just doesn't.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But like, think about it, like in your mind, I'm like, it should just work, Then you're like, well, there's something wrong with them. And then I realized, no, it's a little of both. Like it really is. Like I realized my library, which started in like 1999 or whatever, is huge. It's got crap all over the place. It's got 96K files and stuff. So I've been like curating, like, dude, I mean, it's insane. Things aren't tagged, and so like,
and then with the little metadata is like this song is sick.
Oh yeah, straight off, LimeWire or something. So
Napster.
Yeah. So that's so understanding that. So I just share that because I imagine they're probably like I'm 42. There's probably DJs my age who are going through like some things like that. So
yeah, and. Whatever that old school was, it's continually moving to the right, and you have to evolve with that. And we talked about this before on the New Year's show. Like we've all been in that point where like we had our cart of bangers and we just sort of stuck with that. And you're not doing yourself any justice by not incorporating some contemporary music into that because eventually those bangers are going to start moving to the left.
Dude, most of like the early 2000 stuff. They're not relevant anymore.
Well, not like I was just sharing when we had Mitch James on the show. Like I did an event recently, and all that stuff that was playing before that was like banging like from the early 2000s. I've noticed it's now, and Dave got excited about this, in that Timberland, that Justin Timberlake, that Rihanna, all that stuff. Like now that's the
slid in, yeah.
Now that stuff sliding in. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep. Kesha
I can do
and all
this.
That stuff. Yeah. Lady Gaga.
I'm quite comfortable in this space, you know. So yeah, you have to evolve and continue to develop that library, and don't hang on to that golden crate, because eventually
you got to curate. I mean, you really got to curate like what's in there, and that's something I had never really done much of. You know,
it's easy for us to think of that as it's precious. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Like it's unfuckwithable.
This is what, it's unfuckwithable. Yeah. This is what made me great. This is what got me, opening for Rezz and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, that, you know, for me, 98 to 2003 is when I was in college. You know, so like I remember those songs, and those songs are, you know, the Outkast and Ludacris, those songs are still relevant. And so, but then there's other songs that I remember that were bangers then, but they don't go, you know, the Craig David type stuff. You know, it's like, well, I don't know if it's straight, but for me, I'm like, this is still fucking fire, you know. But for the crowd, that this is 13 years before I was born, you know, like I'm not gonna listen to that. So like trying to curate, pull it out. So like, and also realizing how much music is out there now, and that's the thing I wanted to hit on, that I thought I've been thinking about. You know, when we were DJing before the pandemic and everything like that, Spotify was still getting really big and people were making playlists, but like now people literally, you know, like on my way up to Dayton, I've got a playlist with like 4 other DJs that are like curated by like our like tastes, and it's amazing, you know, like, so people are so clued in to what they want. Like anytime they're not getting something they don't want, it's almost like egregious to them, you know. Does that make sense? You know, like whereas before, like, you know, you would wait for your song, and now it's like why would I listen to this DJ play something I don't like when I could literally listen to 500 songs on Spotify that I've curated, that I like,
quickly,
and, you know,
we feel entitled.
You know, it's like, and I really think that is really like affecting some of the dance floors, where it's like, this is not what I want. I'm not looking for this, because I just spent, you know, the previous 8 hours listening exactly what I want.
They're not there for the discovery, like they were in the early days. Yeah.
And like you were saying, it's here and it's now, and it's what they want when they want it.
Yeah. And there's so many rabbit holes. Like that's the thing. Like, you know, it's not like you buy a CD and you just play it a lot. Like, I don't know if this happened to y'all, but like I discover stuff on Spotify like on release days, and then I never listen to it again. It's like, and it's like amazing shit. I'm like, oh, Matt Zo's new album,
and
that's
you forget
great.
about it.
Yeah, you know, and I just keep going through, and so like it keeps pushing things that should, you know, bubble up and be like popular. And so like, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's just something that you have to be aware of.
We're all in this constant state of consuming media, consuming music and videos and stuff. I mean, I have the same, you can describe a similar problem with, you know, the way that I watch TV now is like a Gen Z. Like I turn on YouTube and I watch TV 15 minutes at a time for hours. You know what I mean?
Or like even like that's a great example of like picking the next show you're going to watch, right? If it is
when
not,
you want to watch it. Yeah.
When you're going to watch, but if like for me now, I'm like, when I watch something that is not absolutely mind-blowing, I'm like, I could be watching the other 7 other shows, you know, like, whereas before when we were younger, like you just watch what it was, and it might be good, it might not, but like now it's like, you know, there are other things that you could be listening to or watching at that point, and like that psychologically is a weird thing that I don't want to fuck with the high school dances. You know, that's what for me. I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to be part of that. So
is B-Funk and the post-COVID DJing crisis too dramatic of a title?
That, I mean, it's pretty intense. My parents might come running, but what is this? What is going on? But yeah, it just, I mean, it was as close as a crisis I could say, man, because it was just like, you know, I love this shit, and I was just like, what the, you know, because the first one I was like, what is going on? Second one, what is going on? You know, I'm talking to people.
Now it's the third time you're like, something's wrong.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and I think I've done four so far, and I'm like, it's good, man. I need to stay away from it, you know, and I had no problems with weddings. So I had like, you know, some sample groups where I'd be like, okay, it's not just this, you know, weddings, no problem at all. But those high school dances, man, they crushed B-Funk. I'll put it that way, you know, like I'm out.
For weddings, and I think I've shared this with you, and I'll share this with our Passion DJ Nation. But one of the first questions I asked him is when you graduated high school, because that gives me that lets me know the question. That lets me know the wheelhouse. The second question is who am I not allowed to give the mic to?
Nice. That is an important question. I
Those are seasoned DJ questions.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, so wants to say something.
And they usually look at me like, what? I was like, no. Who should not get the mic? And they're like, oh. Yeah, hold on. We'll get back to you.
You don't want to find out night of.
For sure.
But yeah, you want to have that answer figured out.
Yeah.
So.
My racist Uncle Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't ever.
You'll know when you
dude.
see him.
You'll know.
Yeah.
But one thing I wanted to reach back on was when you were talking about music and how everybody, I have my own 8-hour crate. Back in the day when we were younger, like we were the selectors. We were the ones doing the discovery for people. And now that anybody has access to music, because we were the ones going and buying the records, paying $12 and only playing one track. Where
the Nutty Professor soundtrack for $18 to get that Aaliyah track or whatever.
Yeah, bruh,
That
tell
one
me
was
about it.
through the heart.
Yeah.
$18 to get Are You That Somebody? That's like ridiculous. But anyway.
And then now, like everybody, like for what, $7 a month, you can have access to all the music that's on a catalog.
Yep.
And
Yeah, it's not about what you can find and present. It sort of is, but it's in certain crowds it is, but that's not like the draw like
correct.
It was.
I think now it's more about like how do you dress it up. We all we're playing poker with all our cards face up, but how can I outmaneuver you?
Yeah, make it fun, because I mean, like it's curated playlists. Like it's the Spotify playlist or experience. I mean, I hate what Spotify is, but it is amazing. Like you go in and a song ends and all of a sudden they play 10 more songs that are just like it, and you discover all this new stuff. I wish people got paid for it, like in some sort of meaningful way, but it's an experience that I think everyone should have. But like it also changes the necessary, people come to clubs, they don't want to hear that. They want to hear the 30, they want to hear Rap Caviar off Spotify. That's where all their songs are, and so like, and then I'm like not listening to it, and like they think it's popular because it's the same thing. It's just like MTV or anything else. You heard it and this says it's popular. You haven't heard it anywhere else, and then you want to hear it because you listen to it. And I'm like, this song, I don't know this song.
And in a bad way, Spotify is creating like musical echo chambers because it's based off your algorithm. This is it's telling you this is what's popular.
You want more, and
but
more of that,
this is just more of what you're listening to.
There's a certain irony in that, isn't there? Like here's access to the entire world of music,
but we're going to limit you to these.
Yeah, we're just going to keep you listening to this style.
But I think it says more about us than it does about them.
Yeah, true. But the other thing I was going to reach back to is when you're talking about watching television, how you just continually watch 15 minutes at a time. Remember, is it Back to the Future 2? And like his grandson comes and he's like, okay, turn on this Weather Channel, Sports Channel, blah, and it's just like this wall of all these different channels. Yeah. And I was watching something and they were talking Back to the Future, and that scene popped up. I was like, oh shit! I was like, we're there.
Looking around the room and all the screens pointing at me.
Yeah, because I have 5 monitors in my office.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha.
like, oh wow. Not to mention
Feel attacked.
not to mention my phone and my iPad. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, we are here.
It's pretty much here. Yeah, I mean, and the feature. I mean, they keep talking about that that thinking DJ, but like you guys probably listen to like Spotify. They have like a house set where like all the songs are the same BPMs, and so they just drop it on the one, and it's like sounds like it's mixed.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. Like I was like listening, and I was like, it must do a mix, and it was like Camel Fat came on or something, another song, and I was like,
listening to the Drum Code playlist the other day, and it was doing that while I was working out, and I was like,
yeah,
what?
and
I was like, is this Adam Bear like live set or something?
We're not too far away from it, because it's just an algorithm of lining up. If you think
it's
about
math,
just lining up the things.
Computers
and
are good at math.
Yeah. So I just and then so we just have to continue to be innovative or whatever. But like it's hard, man, because computers do whatever we do faster. We're like, oh, they'll never be able to. I mean, I don't know, like, because to me, like,
never
DJing,
say never.
yeah, exactly.
I saw a robot make free throws the other day.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because I mean, like DJing, a lot of times I think there's a level, but like to me, I was trying to explain this to a friend once. It's like it's almost like a game, where we got some tracks and it was like, there's like this percentage this track's going to work. You've seen it work somewhere else, you feel good about this, and like there's calculations. Some of it I think is not actual, like you're not thinking about it, but but there's actual just calculations. Hey, like otherwise you're just going to play, like why would you play 30 songs you've never played before? You probably have some sort of connection to it. Hey, this song's popular. That's how Spotify works. They're like, hey, X many people listen to this song at this point, and then they just cross-reference it. Even like the playlist I have right now, it's like 5 people. Like it could have been all my like Nintendo like soundtracks. But they didn't pull in that stuff in there because the other people weren't listening to that stuff. But it did pull in the Social Network soundtrack, which I was like, this is a great song. Like, but like it might work with like some other people.
The Social Dilemma.
Oh yeah, no, that's different.
Terrifying documentary if you've seen, if you have not
crazy,
seen it. Yeah.
And have you seen on Spotify? There's a fairly new feature on there now, which it actually works pretty well. That's called Enhance. Have you tried that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's it's just a toggle switch.
Okay.
I have most of my Spotify playlists I've had since like 2012 when I first signed up for it. And so they're all that old, but you can go in and say enhance, and then it'll just go find similar stuff and sprinkle it through your existing.
No shit.
So you can turn it on and off. So you can turn it
so you
off,
can hold
and
the place
then
if you
your
want to.
normal playlist is back, but if you're like, I want to mix it up a little, you can add it.
And you can.
It's actually really nice.
Yeah,
like I hate that I like it.
Yeah.
And you can add some of this enhanced songs if you want to,
Yeah,
or take
I'll
some
keep
off.
this. Yeah.
Because for all my fitness events and sporting events, I build them in Spotify.
Yeah.
And I noticed that probably over the summer, I was like, "What?" I was like, "I didn't have this song here," and I noticed
it's great
it.
if you have like an '80s playlist of stuff that you like, and you're like, "Man, what are the ones I'm forgetting about that I haven't heard since forever ago?" And then
and that's what it was doing. I was like, "Oh man, this is really nice." I was like, "Oh well, this song doesn't fit," but oh man, I don't know why I didn't have this track in there.
I'm gonna find that today. Yeah.
So if you're like kind of in that in between mood, you're like, I want to listen to my playlist, but like,
what am I missing?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all. It's got to be just algorithms and stuff. You know, it's not somebody.
Yeah,
to pick.
sure.
I mean, some of those songs are being picked, but like, it can't anyway. So I wonder about all this happening. You know, what we're gonna see, and I got to stay relevant. You know, with curating stuff and just stay on top because. Like I said, if high school students can give me an existential crisis, like I imagine any other crowd could. So I've got to like figure this out now because like there's a lot worse stuff out there. So
For sure.
You're always welcome to come hide in the cave here. That's why we did.
I do know I'm safe here.
This is a safe place for DJs.
I appreciate being just able to put that out there. But yeah, DJs, if that's happening, I mean, I know we're kidding, but like,
we're kind of
sucks.
not.
Yeah, I mean, like it is like. It happens, we
had a legit conversation about it. Yeah.
So
create your sanctuary if you can.
Yeah, definitely.
And if not, we're always here for you.
Yes, sir.
So, as far as the rest of the year goes, what you got left?
So
anything we can push out for you?
Yeah, I think. So my other job is Ohio Brew Week. So if anybody drinks craft beer, July, middle of July, I'll be doing that. It'll be the 17th annual. So we have a big party. I'll call Last Call. We'll close the street down. Be like 6,000 people.
Whereabouts?
Oh, sorry, Athens, Ohio.
I don't think we even said Athens.
Yeah, sorry.
Does Jackie O?
Jackie O's is definitely they're usually a signature sponsor of that.
If you're into craft beer and you haven't had any of Jackie O's stuff, just go find it. Hit the Google. And find some. It's
what
all
Mo
amazing.
said. It is made in Athens. It started in Athens, Ohio. So yeah, it is. Okay. It's gonna be one of those where you're like, I remember that.
If you're into stouts, Oil of Aphrodite, absolute killer.
Yeah, that is one of their jams for sure. But yeah, as far as shows, so I'm gonna do Disco Doesn't Suck again, probably maybe in June. So
I guess we can kind of tease this.
Okay.
But yeah, we're gonna. We got together when we talked, and we're gonna kind of talk about that whole Disco Sucks incident.
Dude, we should.
We don't want to get too much into it, but that's something that we seriously want to revisit that and bring it to the front of mind for people that aren't fully aware of that whole incident. Because
I'll just tease it real quick. If you've heard about the disco demolition in Chicago at the White Sox game, Google that and then read about the fallout from that. But anyway, that's where I got me. It's interesting. The term disco sucks is where that started. But anyway, yeah, I'd say so. I'm going to do that, a fundraiser again. We raised about $4,000 last year in the fall, and so I was hoping to do that again for June for Pride Month. So probably do that. So basically, Disco Doesn't Suck's the party that I do, where it's all just house and disco music, which is two of my favorite genres of music, and a lot of people,
are they any different?
Right, what better two to marry?
Exactly, and so I'll have that in June. Trust Me Dance Party's coming back Memorial Day weekend, so I'll be doing that Friday, Memorial Day weekend at Casa in Athens, Ohio. A lot of weddings this summer, and I think there's a possibility that the block party may be coming back, so I might be DJing that. So we'll see if that's a thing. It's
Halloween party?
Halloween block party, yeah. So before the pandemic, we had done a...
Is it going to be in the garage?
That's what I'm hoping for. So we did that Friday. So
share that.
Yeah,
so I want to.
We had the setup was we took over an old parking garage in the city of Athens, and so the lower floor was all bass music, and the up floor was like 4 on the floor, so house, trance, progressive, and stuff like that. And it was really cool. We had a beer garden, everything like that. Worked really well, and then the pandemic hit, and so we haven't done that in several years. But the city it mentioned to me a couple weeks ago that they're interested in doing the block party again, so hopefully we can do that. So that'd be another party, and then I think that's it. I don't really have any other, special parties I'm doing. I'm going to be going to some shows. I'm going to.
Yeah, who are you looking forward to seeing this year?
Dude, so I'm going to Movement. Yeah, are either you guys going to Movement this year?
Going back and forth.
Yeah?
We were just
My
talking
daughter's graduation.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about, Tony mentioned maybe
Going
just
for
going
one
up for
day,
Saturday
yeah. Okay.
and seeing Richie and stuff.
Oh, is he playing on Saturday? Okay, that's right. He is
Maybe.
Saturday. Because I've got to do a wedding on Saturday, so I'm not going to be there for Saturday, but I've gone every year for the last 3, well, obviously pandemic, last 3 years, but I'm going Saturday or Sunday, Monday
And for
sure.
those that aren't aware, David, Movement is?
Movement is Memorial Day weekend. It is the Detroit Electronic Music Festival, very heavily focused towards techno, Detroit techno. It's used to be called DEMF,
yeah.
or Detroit Electronic Music Festival. A lot of people still call it that. Used to have another name too that slips my mind at the moment.
But its current iteration is Movement.
Yeah, Movement. And
it's probably one of the largest in this part of the country.
in the
Midwest for sure,
other than I'm sure Chicago has some big stuff, but as far as here in Ohio, it's one of the cooler things that we have access to.
Yeah.
Very accessible.
Four or 5 stages usually, and just a really great place to go and experience. If you are the kind of person who wants to go and discover some stuff that's in your wheelhouse, but you still want to find some new stuff, and also, like, this is my little sidebar, but I like going early in the day, whereas a lot of people are about the nighttime scene there and the afters. I love, like, noon to 3 or 4 o'clock there when people are filing in and there's just foot shufflers around and it's like the heads and they're playing like 124 BPM something or other.
That's awesome.
In the sun. Good time for sure.
Dude, your review is exactly what I was going to say. I mean, yeah, it is one of the few things that I go to where I'm like, it's okay that I don't know anybody on the lineup because I go and I'm like,
you're going to discover something.
yeah, you just
wander
like in a way that like you can't. And I share that a lot of the crowd's starting to get younger, but it's definitely
no, we're just getting older.
Yeah, well that too, but like it's still, there's enough like older people that want their space, and that's what I really like about it. I never feel crowded. I never feel like
you can always
overwhelmed.
find a place to have your if you just want a little 2-step room or something where you're not.
Everyone's just kind of like respectful mostly, unless you're seeing like Chris Lake or something, where there's a lot, younger crowd.
Yeah,
that,
you
like,
cram yourself into the pit at main stage. You're still gonna.
That's gonna happen. But like, I've so that's on my docket for sure. Like I said, I've got to do a wedding Saturday, but I'm gonna drive up and got some buddies gonna be there, so maybe I'll see you up there.
Yeah, may see you there.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. And then I scored tickets to Weekender at the Gorge for Above and Beyond. So they're doing this 2-day thing, and amazing venue.
They're playing both days?
Yeah, so it's a festival. So it's going to be like all their Anjuna beats. Matt Zoe, Andrew Bear, like trance goodness. It's going to be amazing. And then like Saturday's heavier trance progressive, and then Sunday's all like deep deep house and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then decided this year that I'm going to go to ARC Music Fest in Chicago. So that's like house and techno Labor Day weekend. So I'm really excited about that because my family's from Chicago, and like the lineups was amazing. Is that
by the water?
It's in Washington Park, I think. I don't think that one. There's North Coast Festival. I think that's by the water.
Okay.
I think, and they've also used to have Spring Awakening, but I don't think that's happening anymore. But anyway, I got those 3 shows that I'm like, really. This year I decided, I was like, you know what? 42, you should just go to shows. My wife's been like, that's fine, I don't want to go, but you can go. And so like I've just been like trying, like my credit card's just like, stop going to shows, like flights and everything. So I'm really excited about that because I know we're wrapping up. The last thing was these shows kind of like reminded me. So I saw Tin Liquor, and I saw recently at Otherworld in Columbus, Ohio, and then I saw Genix and Ilan Bluestone at Otherworld. And so like these shows just like reminded me, like, this is why you fucking do this, like, because it was easy to be like doing the high school shit and then be like, this isn't for you. But then I would go in the space, I'm like, this is why you do this.
And when you're away from it for a few years, it's easy to forget.
Yep.
And you kind of get that
renewed inspiration, and movement has done that for me in the past. And it's been even a couple years before the pandemic. I missed it a few years where I'd done the previous 10 or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like I need a jolt.
Yeah, for my family, like us being locked up for the past 2 years, like my wife and the kids, we went and saw Rezz.
Oh, nice. Okay.
In Columbus, and we went and saw Girl Talk a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
Up in Cleveland, and that was his
Is he still rocking it? Is he
Oh
still
yeah.
good? Okay.
He was you could tell like how far in the set he was by how much clothes he had taken
Yeah,
off. But yeah, that was his first headlining tour that he's done like in over like 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that is that was the first concert that I ever took my kids to when they were like, my oldest was like 12.
Oh, nice.
My daughter was like 8. So now, you know, she's 18.
Yeah.
You know, and so like they're all
That's
older.
dope. Yeah.
And like they still remembered like that show, like as the songs were coming on. So it was like an awesome, you know, family moment.
That's awesome.
What are you gonna? So movement. What else are you gonna do?
That's the only thing I've really been kind of eyeballing, just because it's if I could do one thing,
That's
usually
your
that.
that's your Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
Because ever since I've known you, that's always been like your North Star. Like I'm going.
It's that, and then whatever else cool local thing, you know, 1 or 2 shows. Like, you know, if there's another Sasha show or Paul Oakenfold or something comes to Dayton, then I'll go to those. And but I haven't thought too much outside of that. I figure it'll be a success if I can make it to one thing, you know,
for sure.
just for the pleasure of going.
Yeah.
So one more time, hit him with the socials.
Let's do Linktree / DJ B Funk. Best place to find me, but definitely Instagram at DJ B Funk. I'm really active there. Same thing on SoundCloud. There's stuff. And if you like Twitch, there's some backlogs of things on there. It's at Papa B Funk on Twitch TV.
Yeah,
So.
we're definitely going to have you back in June to talk about that. Disco Sucks.
I'd love to, man.
And thanks for coming back, man. It's good to have
Yeah,
you.
no,
Thank you so
I'm glad
much,
this worked
man.
out.
Good to have
I
you in the
texted you guys in
studios.
advance. I was like, I'll be in. So for those at home who are listening, I always hit these guys up
Like the day
or literally the day of or the day before, and they're like, "Yeah, we've got live." So we can't. So this time I was like, "I'm going to be in Dayton. Let me know if this works out." And it did. So
Well, thanks for making time for us, bro.
hell yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
All right, that brings this episode to a close. I'm Mo. Wash your damn hands.
Keep on spinning.